Carson. Excited to be here today. Today's episode, I want to get straight into it, and I want to talk about small balance killers. All right. Now, what I mean by this is when you get a list of notes in, it's very, very common if you're a brand new investor to take a look at what's in your account, right? If you got 10 grand or 20 grand, that's what you're going to try to make an offering with. But you have to be very careful with this because sometimes these small balance notes can end up killing your IRA or killing what savings you have. And sometimes, most of the time, it's better to bid on a higher valued asset and go raise capital. I just had a couple students, and that's why I wanted to bring it up because I know I've talked about it before, but I just like to reiterate the stuff. Got a tape in where the seller actually had their strike prices. They actually had what they wanted to for these assets. These are all non-performing. Some were small balance stuff. And my students were like, oh, hey, there's a couple small balance on there. They want 4 grand. We got 5 grand in one account. We got 6 grand in another account. There's no one for $4,500. And the assets on these, one was valued at 50, the other one was valued at 100. Okay, that looks pretty good, except for a couple of reasons. One, the legal balance on the first one that they could pay 4 grand for was only like $8,500. Okay, and it was in Ohio. Now, both of these assets were in Ohio, which is a judicial foreclosure. It takes about 9 months to foreclose. The other one, again, small balance, it was like 9 grand in total payoff and had the higher value of 100 grand. Now, that may not necessarily be the kicker, but both of these borrowers hadn't made payments in about 6 months. Okay. So it could be, when you first look at it, this could be a possibility to get the borrowers back on track, right? Except these are both construction. One was a construction loan, one was a line of credit. And the payments on both these loans was one was $29 a month, and the other one's $58 a month. Very low P&I payments. Well, if you calculate, if the borrower on the one brought the loan due, they made 6 months of payments and brought it together, it's only $348 basically made in a year divided by your 4,000 investment. It's not a good, it's like an 8.7% cash and cash return. Not very good to tie up your money for extended period of time. Now, if you had to foreclose, guess what? You paying 4 grand plus the $3,000 plus it cost you to foreclose, plus the servicing cost to foreclose. You're going to be losing money on the deal because the most you can make an offering on would be the legal balance at the foreclosure auction. That's your highest bid. Now, are you going to get outbid? Yeah. On an asset, it's worth $50,000. That looks decent because we looked at an online photo, looked really good. You're going to get outbid most of the time. When you're only owed like 9 grand as a total payoff, and it's worth 50, you're going to get outbid the auction. So you look at what you paid for your legal costs, then the cost to foreclose, and then you got to pay back taxes too. You're not going to make any money on this deal. And so that's the thing. Be very careful when you're looking at these small balances. I know it's like, oh, I could use my IRA to fund it. Yes, you could, but here's what you want to look at. My formula and what I look for when I see a small balance like that. Now, yes, it's great. It's a $50,000 asset. It's great if a $100,000 asset. Okay. But the UPBs, you're paying 50 cents on the dollar for the UPB, and it's a low, you're paying too much, honestly. Okay. Because those low balances, you still have costs to foreclose. You still got servicing costs are $90 a month. Especially look at the P&I payment, the principal and interest payment that are paid monthly. If your payment's below $250, if you're using OPM, or even $150 a month, you're losing money. I honestly don't think you should waste your time on that stuff. There are better deals to put your money to. You can save that 4 grand or 5 grand to cover it, an aha nugget when you foreclose, but use other people's money. This is one big thing that if you're scared of, you got to embrace the getting, because you could, if they would have bought these deals, because they were already approved, if they, your deals are accepted, and they're like, oh my God, what do I do now? I'm like, well, you're going to have to cancel your offers by going back and say, hi, my apology, but based on some further review, these deals do not match what our strategy is. Now, they should have known that, knowing the low P&I payment to begin with, but I got to give these folks a lot of credit. They took action. They made some offers. They didn't understand. They just gone through a class. They made an offer on Saturday, so they weren't even through the rest of the class, the rest of the 3 days of the class, and they didn't reach out to me before they make some offers. So if you're going to make an offer, I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, don't make a dumb offer. Don't be prideful and let pride get in the way of you making the right offer. Because I've seen way too many people make offers thinking they know everything or being too prideful for ask for questions, and they end up overbidding or they're bidding the wrong assets. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm giving you the out. I don't care who you've learned from. I don't care what guru you've taken or what class you have or haven't taken. But I'm going to tell you this. If you call me up and make an offer and you haven't taken any education, I'm going to tell you right now, take my class. No offense. You got to get educated. But I'm going to tell you why your deal's good or bad, if it's a deal or a dud. So don't make a deal. Don't make an offer just to make an offer. Make sure you're making an offer that it's actually on a deal and not a dud. And that's the biggest thing, is make sure that what you're looking at, look at the whole information. Take the time to figure this out. If they did get reperforming, how many months behind are they? If they made it to 6 months of payments, what type of return am I going to get? And then what money am I going to make if I have to take it to foreclosure? These are all relevant questions that you need to know before you make an offer and go from there. That's why you want to be, these low balance stuff can be a deal killer for your IRA, but they can also benefit stuff. If the payment was higher, it would make sense. If the UPB was higher than 10 grand and you're paying 4 grand, those are numbers that you can start making something happen. Or if the P&I payment would be more than enough to cover your servicing, especially your non-performing servicing costs, then it could be a decent deal. But those low balance stuff, you need to make a higher yield on it because your costs are going to eat up a lot of your profits initially. So keep that in mind. That's why I often think it makes sense for you to get rid of those low balance, those below 25,000 UPBs, because the fact is, if you're paying at a premium for those because the value's way above, paying 80 cents a dollar for that just doesn't make sense when it comes to the long term. You'll end up spending more money and fighting a lot of things to have happen on these deals that just aren't worth your time. Look at better valued assets, higher checks, higher returns, and going from there. It's kind of like, a lot of people that buy seconds, they like it because they can buy the low balance stuff and you can get higher returns, but there's no guarantee making a high return. Just because you make a $5,000 return, but that's $50 and mine's a 15% return, I'm making 5,000. What would you rather make? Make the 5,000. So keep that in mind. Low balance stuff can be good, but it also can be really, really bad that you don't want to dive into. So don't make a bad deal. Don't bid on a dud. Let's bid on a deal for you. And feel free to reach out to me at talkwithscottcarson.com. I'm glad to spend time, have you walk me through the deal. I'll ask you some numbers. And I'll tell you, hey, it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. And we'll help you go from there. Because my goal is to get you to close notes and close on deals, not to buy duds and take somebody else's word that this is a deal just because it's a low purchase price. So don't do that. Let's get you taking action. And hey, great for making offers, but let's make sure you're making the right type of offers and not just throwing spaghetti against the wall. All right, go out, take some action, buddy, and we'll see you at the top.